My voice is a little off today, but oh well. Okay, we do have a quorum. As Ms. Taylor is not joining. Okay, we have a quorum, and we'll call the meeting to order. Ms. Williamson, are we in compliance with the open meetings law?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Okay, any changes or additions? Not additions, but any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to public comments. Does anybody from the public wish to make a comment, either in person or virtually? Ms. Zillmer. Ms. Zillmer, you have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Just wanted to comment in light of last week's meeting about a number of businesses who were looking for more information on the changing circumstances around COVID-19 orders and directives. I get Eau Claire TV stations over the news, and I thought it was very interesting that the Eau Claire Chamber of Commerce held a virtual town hall where they had invited the public health officer as well as leaders in local and county government to help answer questions for the business community in Eau Claire County and in the city. And I think today they're going to be voting on whether or not the chamber is voting whether or not to be supportive of their public health ordinance. And so when we get updates from the business communities in this committee meeting, maybe they can touch on the efforts they have made to help get businesses in touch with not just with funding and resources, but also how to deal with the changing landscape of regulation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zillmer. Any other public comments? Okay, if not, we'll go on to minutes from the previous meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Schlender. Do I have a second? I will second then.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute. This is Jesse.
Thank you, Mr. Betcher. Mr. Betcher seconds the motion. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Minutes are approved. We'll go on to number 6, budget discussion, budget summary. Mr. Hoff.
Yes, thank you. Again, where we're at with the budget, for this committee, in your packet, there is a list of outside organizations that get funded by the county. We can just review those overall, but overall, where we're at with the budget, of course, in October, at the October board meeting, I, as county administrator, will turn the budget over to the county board. There'll be a public hearing, and then budget adoption happens in November. So between now and the special board meeting in November, the board will grapple with the funding issues of the county as we've been talking for the last several months. So specifically for this committee and those things that fall under this jurisdiction, of course, UW Extension, the budget presented there, Lori and I have discussed is pretty much status quo as far as the staffing and services provided by UW Extension. So no real changes there. And then each of these organizations can speak to their organization as we go through the meeting, but I'll just cover the sheet that's in your packet. The county fair, they did have an increase, as we talked about last time, for capital items, and those capital items are improvements to the buildings. A couple of the buildings out there, and I'm thinking maybe we want to split that out as far as the operating request that they have, the capital items, and coordinate that with our maintenance department as far as what gets done to those buildings. So I'll separate those out before we get to county board on next Thursday. You'll notice a couple of items there, the Economic Development Corporation and the Visitors Bureau. The funding request there, $25,000 for economic development, $50,000 for Visitors Bureau, and you'll see in the 2020 amended budget, that shows 0. That's because both of those organizations were not funded out of the operating levy. We had moved those to be funded out of the Resource Development Fund a couple of years ago, anticipating that those would be funded by alternative methods, but those didn't pan out. So the requests that are coming in would be funded out of the operating levy in the operating budget. So you'll see that the numbers represent their operating levy, and in 2020 there was no operating levy. There was Resource Development Fund, which is a sort of fund balance that funded those organizations. Clean sweep that is run, well, Ariga handles that, right, through Northwest Regional Planning. So that request each year is funded as well. I think that covers this sheet. If there's any questions, otherwise each entity can speak to it as they get to their part of the agenda.
Certainly. Any questions from the committee members?
I have no questions.
Mr. Butcher?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on then. Do we have anyone here from the Fair Association for a report? Okay, if not, we'll go on to extension report.
All right, so good morning, everyone. Maybe first I'll just talk a little bit about the budget since we just started that. I have updated, you may remember I gave a sheet, this was projected revenues and funding received over the past few years and the grants that were received. I gave you that a couple months ago. I did update it just this morning because, as you can see in Ariga's report, working with LCO, there was another $220,000 grant secured for the hemp production and economic feasibility grant. So I've added that to the overall sheet that I've prepared for you. So I'll send that on to Carol, maybe to include in minutes. So you'll all have that to go by too. So in general, just as a reminder, when it comes to our part of the budget, LCO has for years paid 1/3 of Ariga's position, as well as $800 toward travel operations, that kind of thing as well. So that's reflected in the sheet that I'm going to give to you as well. So basically, the bottom line on the sheet is that for 3.5 educators, the county pays about $74,000. The rest is kind of program supplies and support staff and that kind of thing in the budget. So I like to say it's a steal, but I also understand that budgets are always a little tenuous. And so I'm certainly available and we'll answer any other questions because I just want this committee to have as much understanding going into that budget season as you can for any other discussion. So, so that's as far as the budget part. I will be sending a contract on to Mr. Hoff this week, probably, just so you have it in your hands and that Corp Council can look at it if they need to, so that we're ready to sign it in November once the budget passes. Fingers crossed. So, and then as far as any other updates, the educators did prepare a report for you again, so you can look through that and see what's coming up and how they've been spending their time. From the university standpoint, we are still primarily working remotely. And educators certainly can come into the office and have come into the office and have been meeting with people and doing a lot virtually, but also in person as needed. So this week also is 4-H, National 4-H Week. And so there is some information that Romaine Flynn sent out about Area 2 in particular that has been, all of the 4-H educators have come together to present some good interactions, education, opportunities for a showcase this week. And so it was noted in his thing that he sent out to everyone. And so that might be coming your way as well. And that's maybe enough. I could rattle, but I won't anymore. Unless there are questions, I'm happy to answer.
Do the committee members have any questions for Ms. Beltrusis?
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go on to Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau. We have Ms. Beckman here.
Okay, we have been so busy. Tourists are just flocking to our area. They're here to the trails, ATVs. A lot of them are stopping in on their way to waterfalls. So we've been very, very busy, just to let you know that. Some of the things that we've got going, Midwest Outdoors TV, they filmed a couple weeks ago, fishing. We partnered with Lake Chippewa Flowage Resort Association. Last year we partnered with the LCO Tribe. So it's kind of nice that we've got a couple years now on their TV station. Discover Wisconsin was here this summer, and we got all the ATV portion filmed, and then they will be back for the winter once we have good conditions. The Namakogon River Project, which I talk about all the time, was a one-year, we were funded, we wrote a grant, so we got it from the Department of Tourism, and we just keep rocking it. We got another award, the 2020 People's Choice Award from the Burnett County Tourism Council. We've continued to promote the river with blogging and social media. It's only about $150 a year. We partner with several other counties to do that. Some of the stuff I've been going after for money, I don't get like 200,000 worth, but I did apply for the travel stimulus grant, which they had $8 million available for tourism related entities, and so we qualified for it's 25% of your marketing budget, and so we applied for 37,000, and it goes on revenue that you've lost, the money that you had to put into getting like plexiglass up and masks and sanitizer, hand sanitizer and stuff. So and some of the revenue we lost, like in guidebook advertising. So anyway, I applied for 37,000. We also were awarded, and I think I've said this before, but we got, because usually the Department of Tourism will fund or give grants out for events, but since so many events were canceled, they had like 10 days, they said, anybody who has a great idea, plug it to us and we will fund you. So we had like 10 days and we put in this Sledding in Sawyer County, a snowmobile friendly community grant. So we have not received it because you have to spend it first, but we'll get $16,225 to promote snowmobiling, which will be December 1st through March 1st, which we're pretty excited because normally we don't get to advertise when tourists are here. Usually it's, shoulder season, spring or fall, and that'd be real creative. So this is really nice that we get to have some of that money to spend on snowmobiling. Also, I enrolled in a PR small group mentorship program with the Department of Tourism. It's kind of just helping us. How do you in these times, how do you get your, free PR? So that's been pretty interesting. We rebuilt the atvhayward.com website. It's better to navigate. It's just easier for the consumer to, a lot of people come in and they want to know, I want to stay at a resort on the trail. I don't want to have to trailer. I want to get on there. I want to be able to stop and have lunch. And I want to make a loop. I don't want to go one direction and have to come back the other. So we've made it a little bit easier for them to do what they like to do, the demands that they wanted. IFBEC, we are meeting virtually. And right now we had paused the Outdoor Trail Guide publication, which is all outdoor, trails, including rivers and everything like that. But now we're back on it. We're hoping to get everything in by the end of this month with hopefully a published piece by January 1st. The 360 project, which I'm so glad that we had, because I'm glad we had the foresight to have that done before all of this COVID hit, because we had so many people go in and watch, looking at our virtual stuff. We were everywhere. The Department of Tourism had us everywhere. So that worked out really well. Well, anyway, this summer, it's the last phase, and we got everybody who isn't lodging. So excited about that. Sport shows, it's really unknown. Most of the shows, the snowball show was canceled for this month. We're waiting to hear about 2021. We only had attended maybe 3, we go to 13, and the 10 that we didn't go to are giving us free. They rolled over they just kept our money, and if they do not, it's not gonna cost us anything this year. So that's good stuff. And again, the fishing opener, they moved for us. We were supposed to host it this year, and that got canceled. So we are still on the host for May 1st, and I've secured all the sponsors. So that's pretty good. With crazy times we've had, that we actually still have people sponsoring the fishing. And then we have a couple great PR free stuff. Any questions?
Does do any committee members have any questions on this Bettman?
This is
No
Jesse. I
questions.
don't have any questions, but that was a excellent report and all seems to be very good news. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Batchelor. Chair Schlunder, did you have a question?
No questions.
Okay. I just have one. Is the fishing opener still tentatively scheduled for the Fishing Hall of Fame? Or has that been moved? Or was that?
We haven't discussed if we're gonna do the fish fry, you mean?
Right.
Yeah, we haven't discussed that, but we are holding the fishing opener, which is an invite to all the media,
Okay.
and that will be at the casino.
Okay.
They're hosting it there, and then they're doing like breakfast at the landing, and they're doing lunch at Treelands. So, but that's just for the media. It's not open to the public. So I'm not sure. We haven't discussed yet if we're going to do the fish fry at the Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Once we get a better idea of if we can have crowds.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll move on to, is there anyone here from Northwest Regional Planning Commission? Okay, we'll move on to number 11. We have Mr. Mike Gardner here from the Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you. One thing that came up kind of rapidly since the last time this committee met was the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation launched a broadband connectors pilot initiative. It is similar to the housing initiative that we applied for the previous month, in that there is no funding attached and no financial commitments attached to it. And we submitted an application at the end of last month with Sawyer County as a sponsor and the Economic Development Corporation as a co-sponsor, co-applicant. And it was a very rapid turnaround, and I was fortunate to have the assistance of both Tom Hoff and Supervisor Bruce Paulson to submit an application. The state will select 6 communities to work with, both the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation staff and Public Service Commission staff, to better understand both the opportunities and challenges that those communities face in broadband. And I expect these pilots are designed to help all communities in navigating through their issues and what funding options and partnership options might be available. This would happen yet this calendar year, so I anticipate a fairly rapid turnaround in decisions by the Economic Development, by WEDC, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. So hopefully that could be a breakthrough in all the hard work many of you and others have put together in trying to solve the broadband dilemma for Sawyer County. And much like the housing one, I think that we will be tracking this, whether we're selected or not, and benefit from it and advocate through this and both the governor's task force on broadband to get some breakthroughs for us. Another development, that happened was, most of you are probably familiar with the Indian Head Community Action Agency, headquartered out of Ladysmith. They cover all of Northwest Wisconsin. And while I believe they've had a business development program in the past, they have a new manager that recently has started. And I think trying to upgrade that program and provide service to their area. Hayward and Sawyer County comes into play because they have a building here in town, the old Connection store that many are probably familiar with. That currently sits empty. I believe it is on the real estate market. They would probably sell it if they got their price, but that's not likely, they recognize. So they're interested in partnerships, relationships to possibly use that facility for business development, incubation training. They're really just in the formulation stage right now. So I met on site, toured the building with them, and we will stay in touch to support any opportunities that we can partner with, or our county can partner with to support businesses in the area. Recent conversations between the Economic Development Board and the Lac-Courte Tribal Governing Board have indicated an interest in supporting some of their existing businesses and other business ideas. We're in conversation with them to try to determine what some of those priorities might be. But I did solicit an additional partner in that in the Small Business Development Center at UW Superior, who we've been working with throughout this whole year. So they're on board to assist not only with anything they're supporting the Tribal Governing Board, but also they're going to be having a webinar series for businesses and COVID-related webinars throughout this fall that in training that we will certainly partner with and will be announced probably shortly. I continue to do grant research in development of the strategic plan for 2023 that the Board of the Economic Development Corporation has developed. There's a wide range of opportunities out there. We're sort of waiting for some of these partnerships and refined needs to zero in on, but certainly the Economic Development Administration, the U.S. Department of Commerce, Rural Development, and the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Indian Affairs. So I anticipate that we'll be settling in on our top priorities and making application. Additionally, we have a marketing person, Karina Thompson, on staff who has been busy updating our web resources, contact databases, and beginning the development of our fundraising campaign, which will be getting launched in the near future. A lot of these initiatives, like the housing one I reported last month and this broadband connectors one, I don't know what the state's doing. They come up with these things pretty short windows, and we're fortunate to have the network in place to respond in a timely way. I'm hoping that something will stick for us to make this time commitment worthwhile. But nevertheless, it's really helped me as a new director of the Economic Development Corporation do a deep dive on a lot of the work that's been done by many here in the county and get to understand these partnerships and relationships so we can move forward and make some things happen here. I'd be glad to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Before I do that, at the last committee meeting, Chair Schlender had asked for our fundraising numbers for 2018, 2019, and 2020. In 2018, not including the county's 25,000, the EDC raised $36,020. In 2019, the EDC raised $38,220 on their own. And as Mr. Gardner referenced, we've had to push back. We were going to launch our 2020 fundraising in March. We all know what happened. That didn't really work. So we're getting ready to relaunch for 2020. We have had contributions. They have not been significant. So we'll open up. Do any of the committee members have a question for Mr. Gardner or about the numbers?
This is Jesse. I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Gardner. We'll go on. Any future agenda items that the committee would like to see on next month's agenda? Okay. Hearing none, are there any other matters for discussion only? Okay, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, committee members, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Troy. Hey, Tom and Carol, I just letting you know I might not be available to dial in on Wednesday's Land, Water, Forest Committee meeting. I'll try, but I'm not sure where I'm going to be. So.
Thanks, Jesse.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Have a good day, everyone.